Hi, my name is Owen Joyce and I'm an occupational therapist working with Original Therapies. This video is brought to you on behalf of Kilkenny County Council Library Service as part of their Healthy Ireland at Your Library programme. Be sure to check out some of their other videos. Now, you probably could have guessed from the title of this video, I'm going to be speaking to you today about remote working. Most of us have probably dealt with some form of remote working throughout the past year, and it's kind of become commonplace these days. You probably have developed your own strategies and routines for managing this, and if those are going well, keep doing them. I'm not going to tell you to stop what's working, but in this video I'll hope to provide you with some tips, tricks and strategies so that you can better manage your home working life. Throughout this video there will be some parts that are relevant to you, some that are not, and some that you just don't find interesting or helpful. That's okay. What I advise you to do is pick out what you find useful and disregard the rest. Sometimes too much information can be a detriment to us, and it's better to focus on the few and get those right than to focus on too much information and not have any worthwhile change. So just try and incorporate some small changes into your daily life regularly, and you'll notice it has a massive impact down the line. So what I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm going to look at firstly our routine, then I'll look at our mental health, our physical health, the ergonomics of your environment, and then some perks and tips for living at home and working at home. So firstly, routine in my opinion is the most important aspect of remote working, which is why I have it first. I also feel that's the most important aspect of just daily life in general. It is the glue that holds everything together. In simple terms, routine is everything we do on a daily basis regularly. So think back to a time when you felt stressed, anxious or under pressure. I can guess that you probably lacked a good solid routine. Maybe you're getting up late for work, rushing out the door and missing breakfast, powering through your morning meetings with a cup or two of coffee, barely getting through the day, and then you get home and just crash on the couch. You don't even eat dinner. When things are difficult, it is a routine that props us up and keeps us going. Without this structure in place, we can struggle to get done what we need to do. Unless, of course, we are in great form. But let's face it, everyone is having some form of difficulty this weather. A routine does not mean that every minute is broken down every day. It might to some people, but for the majority of us, we like having some structure with the flexibility to fill in the gaps. Now, I'm sure most of you have an idea what a good and a bad routine looks like. What I want you to do for the next couple of days is to keep a track of what it is you're doing each day. Now, this does not have to be reams of paper every day, but just look at what time you're getting up at, eating your meals, starting work, finishing work, relaxing at, and heading to sleep at. Generally, these are the cornerstones of most routines. You'd be surprised at how a couple of small tweaks to that can make a huge difference and make your life a lot easier. So, take an example at the moment from a number of people I know. They're working from home and wake up around 8:45 a.m. They then roll out of bed, onto their desk in the bedroom for a Zoom call at 9. They've barely brushed their teeth. Yes, it sounds like hell. Now, they sit at the desk for most of the day, taking a quick break for some lunch, and then finish up work around 6 p.m. This is the case for a large number of people working from home. Now, if that same person just got up 20 minutes earlier, they then could step outside for some fresh air, grab some breakfast, get dressed, and even brush their teeth. I know, the luxury. They're then set up for a day of work and will be far more productive, but also just feel better in themselves and will hopefully finish on time in the evening. Now, what I've just mentioned is not reinventing the wheel. We all know that getting up a little earlier can make a large difference in our day, but even more so now that we are working from home. Previously, we were commuting to and from work, and there were clearly defined transitions between work and non-work time. Entering and leaving the office, taking the coat off the coat hanger, leaving the keys by the back door, heading to training, and having those after-work meals and drinks. All of these little actions that we previously did subconsciously signify that there was a transition happening between work and non-work. Nowadays, there's none of that. Our work and home lives have blended into this weird state where we don't know if we're coming or going. Now, granted, some people are required to stay on call, and that's okay. But for the rest of us, what I advise you to do is the following. Come up with a clear morning routine. That can be as simple as the following. Getting dressed, having breakfast, stepping outside for a short walk, even if it's a lap of the house, and then when you enter the house, again, you bring in the workday. You can make these changes as simple or as complicated as you like. The same thing applies in the evening time. Once you send that last email, turn off your computer and your work phone and do something completely non-work related. That could be going for another walk, it could be turning on your favourite album, or it could even be playing with your kids. I don't have kids, clearly, so maybe that is work to some people. What you do, however, doesn't really matter at all. What matters is that you do something that signifies the transition between work and the rest of your daily life. Another important note is that you need to maintain regular working hours. If you do not have regular working hours, while working remotely or just in general, you'll have difficulty in maintaining a healthy routine, and consequently, everything else will suffer, including your mental health. This is a tricky position for some people, I'm very aware. However, nowadays, employers seem to be more understanding of the need to switch off. There is legislation coming down the track that highlights the need for employees to switch off. If you feel that you never get a chance to switch off, just speak with your boss. Tell them to watch this video, and then they may be more receptive. But in all seriousness though, sometimes it is warranted that you need to work extra hours. If you have an important deadline due, or a serious project coming up. What is not warranted, however, is working 10 to 12 plus hours every day of every week. You will not be as productive as you think, and your mental health, physical health, and just everything will suffer, as you're not allowing yourself the required downtime that we all need to reset. In recent years, mental health and the importance of it have come to the forefront of our society. This is a fantastic thing, and it should continue to be spoken about as commonly as we might speak about a bad flu we've had. The vast majority of people have had some form of mental health difficulty throughout the past year, whether that is anxiety about returning to work, periods of low mood following lockdowns, shame for contracting COVID-19, yes it is a thing, or the grief following passing of a loved one. These are all natural emotions to feel, and we should not feel guilty or bad about them. What we do need to do now, however, is to safeguard ourselves so that we are mentally prepared for whatever may happen during our working day. Firstly, get yourself dressed. You may feel more comfortable in your pyjamas or your half shirt, half shorts combo, and that's okay for some days. However, what I'm suggesting to you is that on the other days of the week, you get yourself ready as if you're going to work. There is a reason why the suit is seen as a power item of clothing. The simple act of getting dressed can provide you with that little bit of motivation that we all need these days to get through to the next day. We want to get through day by day, and that's okay. Now, I want you to have less pressure on yourselves from now on. Although I did just tell you to get dressed in the mornings, if you can't or don't do it all the time, that's okay. Times are tough right now, and just because you hear of someone who has learned 2 languages, set up a business, or saved 30 grand in the previous 12 months, that doesn't mean you're failing or any less of a person. These people are few and far between, and they may not have had to face the trials and tribulations that you have had. The grass is always greener on the other side, as they say. It is easy to fall into this trap of thinking that because we're at home all the time, that we should be super productive all the time. That didn't occur before the pandemic, and probably won't occur now. So just start to have less pressure on yourself, and be more realistic with the goals you're setting. January has just come and gone, thankfully. It was definitely the longest January ever. And some people may have thought about lofty goals for this year. While it is great to be ambitious, begin to reevaluate these goals and assess if they're specific, achievable, and actually realistic to complete. They may be the most perfect goals ever, and if so, fair play to you. If not, then maybe just lower your expectations slightly and achieve the goals instead of getting so far and actually failing at them, even though you've gotten really far. Your feeling will be way worse then, and you'll just feel demotivated. Throughout the working day, you would have normally taken numerous little breaks that you weren't even aware of when we were back in the office. Going to get a cup of tea, filling up your water bottle, heading to speak to colleagues, or even going to the printer to photocopy something. All of these events and more happen throughout the working day, and they all give you a brief solace from whatever task you're working on. Some people may argue that these breaks lead to unproductive work. This is just not true, and it is something that a lot of people are missing from their remote working life. For the next week, take more breaks during the day. Schedule your video meetings to finish 5 to 10 minutes before the next one. Get up and stretch your legs and leave the work environment, even if it is just for a minute to go and check on the birds outside. Give your colleagues a call or a text and chat about the regular non-work stuff you always chat about, such as how are United going at the weekend? Not too well. Try and bring in a sense of normality to this new work life. We've been doing it for almost a year now, and who knows when the end is in sight. I mentioned switching off from work a few minutes ago. The ability to switch off and not think about work is paramount to maintaining good mental health. Make this a priority for the next week, and you will notice an improvement in your mood. So after our mental health, we also need to be conscious of our physical health. The two work in tandem, and if one is out of sync, then it will impact on the other. We've all been told of the benefits of maintaining a good diet, regular exercise, and enough sleep in the day. Our diet is the fuel that keeps us going, and while it might be nice to have the option of having a potato sandwich every day for lunch, it just won't provide you with the energy you need to work productively at home. Now, I'm aware that cooking every meal of every day can be difficult for some people. Previously, we would have gone out for lunch or dinners, and that would have lightened the load. A simple tip is just to meal prep for a couple of days in advance. I do this myself, and it makes life so much easier when it comes to lunch, and I'm not panicking about what to eat. It also reduces the chance of you grabbing a quick snack to eat. Now, I'm sure that most of you are sick of going for a walk these days. There's only so much variety that 5k can give you, but exercise is vital for a host of reasons. It keeps our tendons and muscles working, battles health conditions and disease, boosts our energy, improves our sleep, and it can be fun. Get some exercise earlier in the day, if you have the time of course, and build it into your morning routine like I discussed earlier. Yoga, bodyweight training, cycling, walking, jumping on a trampoline, dancing, chasing your dog, chasing your kids, anything that gets you moving a bit more than you are on a regular basis is fantastic. If you're already moving more and exercising, just keep it up. I touched upon this earlier in the video, but I feel that it is as important here as it is in relation to our mental health. Don't put yourself under too much pressure. If you've put on some weight due to the stress of the pandemic and the previous months, that's okay, that's fine. If you have an existing medical condition and can't do as much as you previously did and want to do, that's okay. Conserve your energy for the things that are important to you. Right now is not the time to shame yourself for not exercising, losing weight, or cooking 3 healthy meals a day. It's okay for some days to be bad, and some to be good. That's normal, and most people are experiencing that. I know that for a lot of people out there are more bad days than good at present. So just focus on changing the small things. Maybe aim to eat at least 1 healthy meal a day, walk 2 to 3 times a week, and put away the weighing scales. They're not your friend right now. Ergonomics. Ergonomics is all about the relationship between our bodies and the surrounding environment. In this case, your home working environment. As you may or may not be aware, there's a lot that can be done to optimize our environment so that it is ergonomically sound. What this means is that our environment works with us and not against us. It makes life so much easier. So first I want you to do is look at what you're sitting on. You want to have your knees, hips and ankles all at roughly 90 degrees to each other. Now obviously you will move around in your chair throughout the day. You'll be fidgeting and getting up and down for various different things. This resting position, where everything is at 90 degrees, will reduce any potential harm to your back if you're sitting there for a long period of time. If you need to, go out and spend some money on an office chair. You can pick them up for around 50 to 100 euro, and they're better than sitting on a couch. Even a dining room chair is better than the couch. The couch is comfortable, but not appropriate for work. Next, look at where your table is or where you do your work. You want to have your elbows bending at roughly 90 degrees, and this is where the top of the desk should be. If needs be, adjust the height of your new office chair so this occurs. And if your feet are now dangling from the chair and not touching the floor, get a footrest, a box or some books and rest it on them. Your wrists should now rest comfortably on the desk with your keyboard and mouse in close range. If you're using a laptop, try and get yourself an external mouse and keyboard if you can. They are cheap and will make your life so much easier. Your computer itself is next on the list. You want to have your screen roughly an arm length away. This reduces the need for you to crane your neck to see what is on the screen. Next, ensure that when you look straight ahead, that you're looking at the top of the screen. If you have 2 monitors and use them both equally, then position yourself in the middle of the 2. And if you use one as a primary monitor and one as a secondary monitor, position your primary monitor directly in front of you and the secondary one to the left or right. If you use a laptop, then raise it up using a kickstand or whatever else is around the house, such as a shoebox or old Guinness World Record books. Whatever you can do to raise up the top of the screen to eye level. This reduces the strain on our neck. For any accessories that you use, make sure you're not reaching too far for them. Have your keyboard and mouse where your hands naturally lie on the desk, and have pens, paper and your phone at hand. If you speak on the phone for a large portion of the day, then consider getting yourself a headset so you can stay typing or writing whilst on the phone. It also reduces the need to crane your neck so you're not on the phone and writing at the same time. Lastly, consider the environment you're working in. This, of course, is very dependent on your current living situation and the amount of space you have available to yourself. In shared apartments, that might be just your bedroom. But if you can, try and move your workspace away from your bedroom. Any other room is better, apart from maybe the bathroom. Try and set up a dedicated workspace so that your brain and body know that when you enter that space, you are going to work. If you have to, set up a rota system with your housemates so that one day of the week or 2 days of the week you can use the common area. Like I discussed earlier, it is the subconscious cues that trigger our alertness for the day of work. This also helps us with switching off at the end of work, as we can leave the work in our home office. It just makes everything fit a bit more, and it means you don't have to be moving around things when you start your day at work or finish your day at work, and it just boxes everything off. There are so many tips and tricks that can assist you in becoming more efficient in your workday that sometimes it feels like information overload. They're all very relevant, but if you try and do everything, you actually won't be that efficient. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of ones that I think are very important and can work well at home and in the office, if we ever get back. Firstly, schedule the most important item of work in the morning. So whatever you need to get done on a certain day, do it in the morning if you can. The longer you drag out this task and procrastinate productively by doing other work items that don't need to be done that day, the greater potential that you'll be working later in the evening. Get the most important task done first, because we don't want to be working till 7, 8 or 9 p.m. when we could be watching a good series on Netflix. Next, prioritize your work items. You won't get everything done every day, and that's fine. Things get in the way, life happens, and sometimes it's just not possible to complete all the tasks you plan on doing. This is where you need to break the tasks down into 2 categories. 1, essential to be completed today, and 2, that can be completed tomorrow. Once you know this differentiation, it makes everything a lot clearer in where your focus should lie. Thirdly, use the Pomodoro technique. Now, some of you may be aware of this, but basically this is where you set a timer for, say, 20 to 25 minutes, and you work at that task for that time. You don't check your phone or emails, or unless there's a fire, you stay at that piece of work. When the 20 minutes is up, you stop, take a short break, and then go back and spend another 20, 25 minutes, whatever your time is. If you haven't used this technique before, it actually is quite effective. It sounds so simple, but sometimes the most effective things are very simple. Normally, what I find what happens, if I was to sit down for a piece of work to do, I'd spend maybe 2 hours at it. I'd check my phone, check my email, might go for a walk or 2, and at the end of the 2 hours, I haven't really done much. Sitting down for that focused work it's amazing how beneficial it can be to you. Because sometimes work is a bit like a gas. It expands to fill the space available. So if you give yourself 2 hours for a piece of work, it will take 2 hours or longer. And lastly, take more breaks in the day. Like I said earlier, I'm going to say it again. We take more breaks when we're in the office or not working from home, because it's just these little things that we do in the day. When you're at home, take more breaks. Your legs and body will be happy for you if you're getting up from the chair, and so will your mind. And you'll feel better, and you won't feel as stressed or under pressure. Lastly, I'd like to mention some of the perks about working from home. Use the time you have at home both productively and work, but also wisely. You have extra time there, so go out and do something you like, enjoy. You'll want to learn something. Maybe that's getting a 180 in darts. Maybe that's knitting between Zoom meetings, or else putting that loaf of bread into the oven again. Yes, you may be sick of baking banana bread, but maybe make with something else. Cookies, buns. Try and find joy where you can in the day. If you really enjoy chatting to Mary from finance about the weekend sport, or Declan about the weather, then give him a call throughout the day. And if you enjoy the thrill of wearing pajamas while working on a massive project, fire away. Life is so serious everywhere we look right now, so try and make it less serious at home. And if you're struggling with your mental or physical health, then contact your local GP. Don't delay because you don't want to burden them, as things may get worse down the line if you wait for things to pass. Now, my final words to you are these. Control the controllables. So much of our life right now is out of control. All we can do is focus on our home environment and make some changes there. Set up your environment to work for you and not against you. And don't try and change everything at once. And don't put your head in the sand. Act now. Change 1 or 2 things a week and witness the impact it will have on you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you gained some useful information to improve your home working and your daily life. Stay safe.